This evening, first up, election red flag. The U.S. warns Guyana. Will a sanctioned businessman entering parliament scare away American investors? Plus, bold move from men's mental health. We'll take you inside the new Brave Center and what it means for ending gender-based violence. Also, Global Spotlight. Guyana leads the world in biodiversity with a historic summit. But can conservation and development walk hand in hand? Meanwhile, turning tragedy into data. The launch of Guyana's first suicide surveillance system could be a game changer. We break down how it works. And overseas, disaster in Dhaka. An Air Force jet slams into a school, killing 31. Protests erupt as grief turns to outrage. All this and more coming up on Headline News Update. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for July 23rd, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, the United States is expressing concerns over the possibility that Guyanese businessman Azruddin Mohammed, who is under U.S. sanctions, may be elected to Guyana's National Assembly. Speaking on the sidelines of the Global Biodiversity Summit in Georgetown today, U.S. Ambassador Nicole Terriot warned that Mohammed's election could negatively impact Guyana's investment climate, particularly with American businesses.
We are concerned anytime the U.S. Department of Treasury OFAC-sanctioned individual has the potential to become a member of government. That is concerning for us.
Terriot added that OFAC-sanctioned individuals in government positions tend to trigger fear among U.S. companies, sometimes leading them to de-risk or even cut ties with the country, as seen in other nations. Mohammed, the presidential candidate for the new political party We Invest in Nationhood WIN, has been drawing large crowds and was officially approved by GCOM to contest the September 1st elections. But the U.S. remains cautious, noting potential complications if Mohammed were to sit on parliamentary committee.
We have to make sure that we didn't work with him specifically.
Azruddin Mohammed and his father Nazar Mohammed were sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, in June of 2024 for allegedly evading over $50 million in taxes on more than 10,000 kilograms of undeclared gold exports. This week, Demerara Bank severed ties with several associates of the WIN party, citing compliance with U.S. sanctions. The ambassador reiterated that the concerns would remain regardless of whether Mohammed is elected as a member of the opposition or government. In other news, officers of the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit acting on intelligence unearthed over 15 pounds of cocaine when they intercepted a suspect carrying a bag in Betafobactin on the east coast of Demerara on Tuesday, July 22nd. The operation resulted in the arrest of Maurice Cameron and led to the discovery of a significant quantity of cocaine. Cameron was found with several parcels containing a whitish, powdery substance. He was taken to the Kanu headquarters along with the suspected illegal drugs. Tests later confirmed the substance to be cocaine with a total weight of 7.86 kilograms. Cameron remains in police custody awaiting charges. Investigations are ongoing. On a different note, the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security on Tuesday commissioned its first Brave Center at the West Central Mall in Lenora on the west coast of Demerara, marking a milestone in efforts to support men's mental health and combat gender-based violence. Brave, which stands for Build Your Legacy, Reclaim Manhood, Activate Goals, Visualize Success, and Execute Fearlessly, is a pioneering initiative aimed at creating safe spaces for men and boys to heal, grow, and become active participants in ending gender-based violence. Minister of Human Services and Social Security Dr. Vinya Prasad described the opening as historic, noting the center bridges the gap between domestic violence and men's emotional well-being. She emphasized that the fight against violence requires structure, commitment, and compassion, not just policies. The event also saw the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry and Region 3 Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Chamber President Babita Albert underscored the importance of judgment-free spaces in helping men become better fathers, partners, and leaders. The Brave Men's Policy, launched in June promotes positive masculinity, and redefines manhood by encouraging accountability and emotional awareness. Stick around when we return. Guyana launches historic Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit, and Guyana launches a national suicide surveillance system to strengthen mental health response.
Monday, September 1, 2025 is Election Day. At the general election, electors will vote to elect the President and 65 members of the National Assembly. And at the regional election, electors will vote to elect members of the 10 regional democratic councils. Check the official list of electors that is being displayed at 2 prominent places in your area to ensure that you are correctly listed. It is your constitutional right and your civic duty to vote at the upcoming general and regional elections, providing you are listed in the official list of electors. Vote early on Election Day. For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-27729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services. 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Hi, Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley, help me out now, please. Why everyone telling me I must exercise my right to vote? Need that time for that? Why must I vote?
Why must you vote? That is your constitutional right and civic duty, my child. Besides, think about this. Government officials make decisions that affect the well-being of you, your family, and community. By voting for a party of your choice, you will be electing the people who will be making these very important decisions. If you don't vote, then you will allow the people who vote to choose government officials without your input. Those others may not share your views about issues that matter to you.
Wait. Is so much voting means to me? And I the playing the fool? I definitely gonna vote on Election Day.
For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-02779 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Guyana has taken center stage in the global effort to protect the planet's biodiversity with the launch of the inaugural Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit in Georgetown. The landmark event brought together heads of state, global scientists, indigenous leaders, youth activists, and environmental organizations to kickstart a worldwide movement to protect nature. Speaking before a packed international audience, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali delivered a passionate address describing Guyana as a living, breathing force of nature and calling on nations to shift from promises to measurable action urgently.
We are not simply launching an initiative. We are igniting a global movement to protect the living fabric of our planet. And I'm proud that this movement begins here in Guyana with the support and partnership of all of you in this room.
With over 85% of its land covered in intact rainforests, Guyana is rich in biodiversity, including 1,200 bird species and nearly 8,000 plant species. It is being hailed as both a model and a leader in global conservation.
Across the globe, biodiversity is under siege. Every year, we lose an estimated 10 million hectares of forests. 1 million species face extinction. Wetlands are vanishing 3 times faster than forests. And we are approaching irreversible tipping points in key ecosystems, from coral reefs to savannas to rainforests. These changes are not remote or abstract. They are real, immediate, and devastating. They affect the water we drink, the food we eat, the air we breathe. They affect our jobs, our health, our economies, our cultures, our peace. They affect our very survival. Some scientists warn that the world is facing its 6th mass extinction, and yet the destruction continues, not due to ignorance, but due to invisibility.
The country unveiled the Global Biodiversity Alliance, a sweeping initiative built on 5 pillars, conserving 30% of the world's land and oceans by 2030, integrating biodiversity into development plans, unlocking new finance mechanisms, empowering indigenous communities, and tracking progress through tools like Global Biodiversity Products and Gross Biodiversity Power Index. President Ali announced a groundbreaking partnership with Yale University Center for Biodiversity and Global Change to support development of an international center of excellence for biodiversity research and help build a national biodiversity data center here in Guyana. The summit highlighted the growing economic case for conservation. Guyana's ecosystem provides approximately $15.2 billion annually in services ranging from clean water to pollination, most of which come from non-market benefits.
The forests of Guyana, not being cleared, not being sold, not being converted, are providing more economic value by standing than they would if destroyed. This is the very essence of nature-positive economy.
The president concluded with a call to unity. He said, "Let this summit be remembered as a turning point for our planet." Together, he said, "Let us rise as a global biodiversity alliance." The event drew high-level participation, including Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados, Ralph Gonzalez of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Vice President of Ecuador, who recently introduced bold legislation to protect national parks. In other news, in a major step towards improving mental health care, the Ministry of Health on Tuesday launched Ghana's first national suicide surveillance system. It's aimed at tracking and analyzing suicide cases in real time to inform effective data-driven intervention. Describing the system as long overdue and very needed, Dr. Timothy Morgan, director of the Mental Health Unit, said the platform will shift the country's approach from reactive to proactive by identifying trends and monitoring prevention efforts such as the 915 suicide hotline and media reporting practices. Data will be collected bi-weekly from agencies like the Ghana Police Force and health institutions, capturing key details including location, demographics, education, employment status, and suicide methods. All data will be securely stored to protect privacy. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony acknowledged the country's past struggles with suicide rates and emphasized the need for strong institutional reporting. He stated that the ultimate goal is for all of Ghana's 400-plus health facilities to provide mental health services. The launch was praised by PAHO Director Dr. Gerbas Barbosa, who commended Ghana's regional leadership in mental health reform and highlighted the importance of reliable data for shaping effective policies. Don't go away after the break. Global Biodiversity Alliance Summit. Ghana hosts regional leaders for environmental talks. and Trump's hefty tariff from Brazil expected to push the country towards China.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Monday, September 1, 2025 is Election Day. It is your constitutional right to vote at the elections, provided you are listed in the official list of electors. As a voter, you have certain rights. Example, the right to attend political meetings and rallies, know the various political parties and their stance on important national issues. Vote as your conscience tells you. You also have responsibilities which include voting only once for the general election and once for the regional election, respecting the voting rights of other electors, doing nothing to obstruct the election process. Vote early on Election Day for the political party of your choice. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Brazil's relationship with China is expected to deepen after U.S. President Donald Trump announced a 50% tariff on Brazilian imports, citing political reasons linked to ex-President Bolsonaro's legal woes. The move, condemned by Brazilian leaders and China, disrupted trade expectations and sparked fears of economic fallout in key sectors. Experts says the U.S. unpredictability may drive Brazil closer to China, now seen as a more stable and strategic partner. Caribbean heads of state, scientists, indigenous leaders, and environmental advocates are in Guyana this week for the launch of the Global Biodiversity Alliance. The summit aims to find new ways to halt environmental decline. Al Jazeera's Alexandria Rampieti sat down with President Irfan Ali.
Most of Guyana looks like this, pristine and untouched. But now more than 11 billion barrels of oil has been discovered offshore, one of the world's biggest recent finds, promising to transform this developing nation into a global energy powerhouse. But some fear the boom could threaten its net zero carbon status.
So we have water from the backland.
Yet its president insists striking oil doesn't mean abandoning climate leadership, and is launching a global biodiversity alliance to prove it.
But we want this to be a global initiative. We have one of the most progressive development pathway, which seek to keep our forests standing and alive.
In the capital, Georgetown, the oil boom is already reshaping the landscape. New roads, bridges, hotels, and hospitals are being built, signs of the country's transformation. But at this central market, views are mixed. At Annie Joe, a fruit seller, says poorer families, 40% of the population, are still waiting to feel the impact.
No, I see no improvement, because it still have children going to bed without a meal.
The challenge for Guyana and many developing countries is balancing economic growth with the protection of the environment. The hope is that the revenues from the oil boom offshore can help fund the conservation of its biodiversity inland. Environmentalist Aisha Williams says more safeguards are needed.
There needs to be better plans, needs to be better decisions made so that the plans, the more sustainable development, the more spread of income.
President Ali says systems are in place to ensure oil wealth benefits both people and nature.
We could have done many years ago, like many other countries, have massive mega farms and natural resource exploitation and production out of our forests. But that would have meant taking down 85% of our country's standing forests. When we developed the low carbon development strategy in the first place, we did not have oil and gas. But we showed that we had a commitment, of building a country that will play a part in the global equation.
A rare chance at prosperity with a number of risks. But if Guyana gets it right, it could remain a climate leader while lifting its people into a new era. Alessandro Ampietti, Al Jazeera, Georgetown.
Beijing is due to host a summit for Chinese and European leaders on Thursday. It marks the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties, but the event was shortened from 2 days to 1 as disagreement grows over China's industrial policy and trade. Al Jazeera's Katrina Yu reports.
This factory in the central Chinese city of Chengdu manufactures thousands of solar panel modules every year, many destined for the European Union. China produces more than 90% of the EU's solar panels, and the bloc is threatening to increase duties on their import, accusing Beijing of dumping or flooding the market with cheap subsidized goods. But the company says China's dominance isn't just about cost.
We control the market because trade measures cannot contain us. We insist on being technological leaders, and the market recognizes this.
The trade of green energy products will be discussed when the presidents of the European Council and European Commission, Antonio Costa and Ursula von der Leyen, meet Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. Some say it's an opportunity to form a united front against US tariffs.
Europe and China do have something in common here, some common interests here in terms of dealing with Washington.
But others say a long list of disagreements limits cooperation. A trade imbalance amounting to more than $350 billion is one of them, as is criticism of China's industrial policy, which the bloc says is unfair and has led to overcapacity.
There are serious distortions in the Chinese economy because it has this export growth-led model, and it doesn't have capital control. So all the money stays in the economy, and the economy has too much money.
European firms have also complained about restrictions on their ability to do business in China, something officials deny.
I hope the EU will realize that it is the EU mentality that needs to be rebalanced, not the China-EU economic relations.
Beijing's closeness to Moscow during its full-scale invasion of Ukraine is another point of friction. The EU accuses it of supplying so-called dual-use items to Russia, a charge which has angered Beijing. China has tried to avoid taking a side in Russia's war with Ukraine, positioning itself as a peacemaker, but its stance has dealt a blow to its image in Europe, undermining trust. Still, officials in Beijing say the two sides should view each other as partners and not rivals. Not an easy task in the current climate. Both sides will be preparing for difficult discussions ahead. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.
Hundreds of protesters have rallied in Bangladesh to demand accountability after an Air Force fighter jet crashed into a Dhaka school, killing 31 people, including 25 students. Al Jazeera's Tanveer Chowdhury reports.
A nation in mourning and shock, a day after military jet crashed into Milestone School in Dhaka. People rally in solidarity while grieving families wait to hear how the tragedy happened and took the lives of their loved ones.
I can't imagine the kind of massacre that took place. We are unable to come out of this trauma. Nothing like this has ever happened in our lifetimes. Accountability should have come sooner, but we're only human, trying our best through the pain.
Grief has turned to anger as hundreds of student protested across Dhaka, including at Milestone College, demanding justice, compensation, and an immediate stop to military training flights. At Milestone, 2 advisors were trapped by angry students over disputed casualty figures before police escorted them out after an 8-hour standoff. The student issued 6 demands that the government accepted in principle.
We lost our younger brothers and sisters. Their lives matter. They deserve priority. We may never get them back, but at least give us the accurate figure and numbers of dead and casualties. Where are the bodies? Why is it still like this?
The remains of those whose identities could not be immediately confirmed are to undergo DNA testing and will be handed over to families once identified. Dozens of people with severe burn injuries are being treated in hospital. Some are in critical condition, according to a senior Bangladeshi health official. The Bangladesh Air Force has launched its own inquiry into the incident.
It was a very sad incident. We will try our best to find out the causes, and of course we are with the people who got hurt, who got killed, who got injured. The whole country is with them.
As families wait for news of their children, the country observes a day of mourning, but the heartbreak from this tragedy runs deeper than silence and prayers. Chanvi Chaudhary, Al Jazeera, Dhaka.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's FTV2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.